Black Tulip is the name given to the aeroplanes that brings back Russian casualties from war. And by casualties, I don't mean the ones that are wrapped up in bandages. I mean the ones that are going to be pushing up daisies. So why didn't they call it the Black Daisy? But this is a highlight match from a grind that I finished yesterday from the Tier 7 Udaloi up to the Tier 8 Neustrashimy. As you can see, it's quite a decent game of it. I don't really like playing the Russian destroyers. They play more like a cruiser. But they obviously don't have quite as many hit points as a cruiser, but they're a little bit more tanky than many of the other nations' destroyers. And we'll just skip through my build here with my captain and inspirations. Now, what I will say is that I don't always go for the meta build, as people call it, where they build to the absolute best of the boat. What I do on a grind is I will have a look at that wonderful site called WoWsLegends.com, and I'll have a look and see what builds people are playing on this ship, and I'll play a few games in AI to get a feel for a build, and then I will adjust the build to suit my preferences and playstyle. So don't always go with what everybody else is saying. If it doesn't suit you, don't be afraid to change the build, the captain, or the inspirations to suit your playstyle. It's easier to play the way that you feel you should be playing instead of trying to push yourself to fit into the way that everybody else says you should be playing. We got a relatively balanced game with 3 destroyers, 3 cruisers and 3 battleships, and we spawn across here on Delta Cap. Now you'll notice that my concealment on this is not very good. It is 5.9 kilometers, and the way I've been playing it is as a kind of tanky gunboat to get in close enough to the action to be an annoyance to the rest of the team, or to the red team, not to the blue team, and to be in a position to fight for a cap without actually pushing in and putting myself at too much risk of going out to a red team destroyer early in the game. There's 2 Ostergotlands on red team, and they have those very fast torpedoes, and while we could probably tank one, it's not something that I want to be on the receiving end of. But I see there the Georgia W, and I think it's a Veneto pushing hard and fast down the back of this map. Neustrashimy is a little bit like the French destroyers in that you've got 3 sets of torpedoes, of which you can fire 2 from one side. Then you have to pull 180 degrees to be able to get the 3rd set off. But those guys are pushing that flank hard. The 2 battleships behind me are in division, and yeah, I'll take a deep breath and say that they left a lot to be desired. So what I want this Veneto to know is that there is a destroyer here, and what I want to do is kite away from him while my torpedoes run in, let the enemy destroyer know where I am, and try and bait them into pushing me, because even though we've got a very slow reload on these guns, I've got a feeling that we can take it in a fight. But we torpedoes have missed completely there, but we do land one on the Georgia W behind it, I think it is. And with the Veneto rolling his smoke, he has fired his main guns, and our 2 guys are rolling in hard and fast here. They're firing HE. I'm guessing they're going to try and get torpedoes on, and I think they're just going to end up tanking each other's torpedoes. There's some torpedoes coming through from a red team destroyer. Now they didn't look too fast, but that guy's taken one. He doesn't take another one, but he is dead and sunk. And the other battleship is now realizing what a mistake he made in charging in with his friend. I'm thinking I've got 2 battleships and a destroyer out here, and this other guy is going to die as well, and I am on my own. You will see me pinging for assistance. I'm not really going to get it. But those torpedoes are looking good, and the Veneto goes out after a couple of ticks to a dev strike, and that leaves the Georgia W and a destroyer out there. You'll have to excuse me while I mute the mic and have a sip of my coffee. So you all know that I love the British destroyers. I really enjoy the play style. This play style is something completely different. We've got a good fire starting chance here. We haven't built completely into the guns on this one. I tried to find, like I said, a niche in the setup where it was comfortable for me to play, and this was what I found gave me the best results. Overall, you know, I wasn't punching out massive high damage scores in every game like I can in some ships. But what we're going to do is just to keep the pressure on this guy, because there is a cruiser and a destroyer. I think it's a Kagero and I can't remember, it's a Riga, that are there in the middle of the 2 islands to the left of DCAP. I'm thinking, okay, I finally got some support. We've lost the 2 battleships, we lost the destroyer across on Alpha Cap, so all I want to do now is be a thorn in this guy's side. We haven't had their destroyer spotted yet, but there we go. I am spotted. That means that there is a destroyer here somewhere, and a Charles Martel in the middle of the map. Now, having played the Charles Martel and absolutely hated it, there are some videos on the channel of how I found my grind with the Charles Martel. I am going to try and put some pressure on him because I know that his turrets turn very slow. So if he's having to twist and turn through the capture point, then it means he's not able to get his turrets on. And look at that skin. That's the space skin, and it lets me see very quickly and very easily where his main guns are pointed. I'm thinking surely a Kagero and a Riga can take care of 1 cruiser, and I didn't see a radar get lit up there, but the Georgia is having a pop at me. We've got a destroyer coming into our rear. We're going to try and stay on that Charles Martel while trying to take care of this destroyer. Now, you know, I talk a lot about tactics on destroyers, and this is going to be one of those players. We've put torpedoes towards him to try and limit his movement. He takes one of them trying to get through the middle. I pop my smoke because I know it's going to force him to turn broadside. He's obviously damage controlled. I'm thinking he's going to try and run in my smoke, so I put the torpedoes there, and then we go looking guns for the battleship again. But even though he's burning, he's not ticking down fast enough. So we're going to put a couple more salvos at him just to make sure he disappears. So we baited him into coming out of his smoke to try and get a full sideways salvo of torpedoes at me. And we damage control that fire and land some cap resets and another fire onto the Georgia W. So I lost the 2 battleships here very early in the game. We then had the Charles Martel come in against against basically me, but we had a little bit of support from the middle of the map there. This Georgia W is still ticking with that fire, and I'm thinking, is he going to hit the island? But his guns were looking this way, but they aren't now. So we're going to put 1 last salvo across the top onto him before we disappear again. And we're going to get another triple cap reset. If you watch my video called Cheesing the Cap, you'll know that that is a very good earner for base XP. And if you paid attention at the start of the game, you'll see that we come away with a very healthy base XP score on this. So we've got 2 kills, a high caliber and a devastating strike. So we've certainly done our work across on this side of the map. But one thing that you'll notice is that we don't yet have control of decap. So that is what I'm going to do now. Now, if you look at where that Georgia W disappeared, what I didn't want to do was push to the left side of the island as we look at it and get too close to the corner of the island in front of us, just in case that Georgia decided to reverse back out of there and put a full salvo onto me. So instead, what I've done is come away from the cap. It takes a little bit longer, and now I'm going around to make sure that my detection range is right on the corner of that island. So if he is still parked there or does choose to try and reverse back around the corner, that I'm not going to get detected and give him a free shot. But he is running away. We're going to put some more shots onto him. That corner of the island is providing us with a little bit of cover, but he's low health and he's nearly done. There's only one other destroyer which was last seen on the kind of 10 o'clock position of the minimap. We get spotted by the Georgia. Very slow reload, very floaty shells on these guns. We know he's damage controlled the fire, but we're going to see what we can do. But the guys on that side of the map are going to take care of that one. Seconds ticking for the cap, and caps are king, and again a solo cap is a very good source of base XP and therefore credits. So we're going to slow down a little bit before we run out of this cap and just be ready for this destroyer appearing, because he's obviously looking at those torpedoes pushing across to this side of the map. So we need to be ready. We've got a good amount of hit points left. There he is. He's just about to come into range. But before we can even get a chance to get all of our guns round on him, he takes an absolute slamming. 2 salvos from 2 ships, and that is game over. With 135,000 damage, we pick up 2 kills out of the potential 3 that were on our cap. We've got 9 cap resets there, thank you Georgia W, and we got the solo cap finishing on 3,201 base XP. Clear at the top of the table, and those 2 guys in the battleships that charged in at the start finishing practically bottom apart from our scone. So I hope you've enjoyed that one. Don't forget, smash the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what build you are running on your Russian destroyers and what your favourite Russian destroyer is if it's not the murder sausage. Until next time, take care of yourselves, don't forget to subscribe, tell your friends. Goodbye for now.